How to learn Thai language. Saying that there are some ways in which you can learn Thai faster. Today, we are going to look into some ways of doing just that, speeding up the process of learning a language. This is possible to an extent, but it does that a lot of input from you as the learner. If you are ready to put in the time, then read on. 1. Vocabulary is the key. As important as grammar is, it serves no purpose if you have no vocabulary to use it with. As soon as you start learning some Thai words, you can put them into action. Of course, you will likely make many mistakes with this method, but that is all part of the learning process. Actually practicing to communicate with someone in the language will show you how the language works in everyday speech. Try learning the very basics of the grammar of Thai, such as the word order. That should be enough to get you started. Over time, as you get used to the language, you will start to piece together the intricacies of the grammar. Essentially, with this tip, you will avoid being slowed down by the less exciting and less actionable grammar rules, and instead have a foundation of vocabulary that you can actually use. 2. Find a native speaker to practice with. As you start learning Thai, you may start to worry that what you are learning does not reflect what is actually spoken in the country. After all, Thai has many different ways of speaking based on who they are talking to. Linking back to the first tip, having someone who can guide you and help your learning is incredibly useful. Putting all the theoretical knowledge into practice will help expose any shortcomings you may have. Who is better to let you know what sounds correct than a native Thai speaker? This option is not possible for many people, but if you are able to connect with a native Thai speaker, either in person or online, it will be very useful for your practice. They know the ins and outs of the Thai language and so will be well placed to help you practice Thai. Let's not forget that everyday colloquial speech doesn't always follow the same structure as the formal way that is generally taught. Thai speakers will help you to sound more natural when you talk and can help to explain some of the cultural aspects such as politeness much better than you can find online. The goal of this tip is to help you learn to be more focused. With this additional guidance, you should not only get a better quality of learning, but also a faster turnaround time. If your goal is to be able to communicate with a local, then having a local to talk with just makes sense. You can also learn and practice with native Thai teachers from Learn Thai Style either online or face-to-face. With the help of the local teachers, you will for sure get your pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary in Thai fast. Free. 3. Watch TV and movies. You often hear stories of how people learned a language through watching and listening to media from that country. Generally, it is quite easy to find some Thai TV show excerpts or movie scenes online. There is also plenty of music to listen to as well. A quick search on YouTube will bring up plenty of results. While the predominant form of Thai that people learn is the Central Thai dialect, you should also be exposed to other dialects and accents. This will prepare your ears for when visiting the country, as many people move around to the big cities to work. Media is probably the best way to do this. It makes for an interesting way to practice Thai, as you can listen to what the character says and repeat it to yourself. This way, you will learn pronunciation and new vocabulary together. Sure, this can be done with any of the Thai language learning videos online, but this way you hear it in a more genuine scenario. Just make sure what you are watching is actually in Thai. 4. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Embarrassment can be a big barrier to practicing any new language, let alone Thai. When making the jump to using your newly learned Thai abilities with native speakers, it can be hard to deal with misunderstandings because your tone pronunciation wasn't quite right or you used the wrong word. Many of us have had that feeling where you just wish you could just melt away. However, mistakes are a necessary step in learning. Nobody gets everything right the first time around, so learning to deal with this shyness and embarrassment is key to practicing Thai. Try to look at it from a more lighthearted perspective. It is okay to laugh at yourself every so often. You just need to make sure you internalize and remember your mistakes so that you do not make them again in the future. The best advice is to find as much enjoyment in it as you can. If the person starts laughing as they hear you mispronounce a word, you should laugh along with them. Listen out to how they say it and repeat it to show you understand. If they see that you understand the mistake and are learning from it, then they should feel some respect for you.